Good morning. We're going to jump into 1 Corinthians today, and this is Paul's first letter to the Corinthians, the city of Corinth.
Right, and I did a little bit of reading. Corinth was a really happening place. It was at the crossroads, and so there were lots and lots of people going through there, and there was huge influence by the Greeks. And there were lots of different gods, like temples to different gods set up in the city. So, and the worship of the other gods was absolutely incorporated into the culture, into the civic ceremonies, and into the social life of people. So it was a very religious place, if you will, but not a particularly Christian type faith. And that's where Paul gets really, that's kind of the purpose of the letter, is to kind of scold the Christians in Corinth about their division, because they're pulling apart and they're trying to fracture the oneness of being a Christ follower by saying, I follow Apollos, I follow Paul, I follow. And so they're trying to do to their own little religion what the city has done in setting up these little pods and these different gods to worship within their civic ceremonies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of that was one of the things, the divisions among the church that was hitting me. The other part that was hitting me was about the who is wise, who God uses to impact people. Because when Christ called his disciples, he basically picked people who were already segmented in society. They were already determined to be, okay, to be a Pharisee, you had to start off when you were a youngster, and you had to start memorizing all of the laws and knowing everything. So this was, and then you were kind of groomed from that process to learn more, and then to be brought up. So by the time you got to be old enough to have a profession, it was a done deal. It wasn't like you were going to start there and go. It wasn't like you could just go off to college of the day and become whomever. This was a process that had been 30 plus years in the making, and here Jesus calls his followers from their professions to leave everything, and then
and that's kind of what Paul is doing too. As I read in this little introduction part over here, that his two main friends were Priscilla and Aquila. And in my mind, probably because of the name Priscilla, I always assumed that they were women. But it says in this that they were actually tent makers. And I had always heard about Paul sitting, and he was a tent maker, and that he sat, and that was how he kind of opened up the conversation with people, but I never knew who those people were. Well, they're this Priscilla and Aquila from Corinth. And so they were not the schooled Pharisee type people that he kind of established as leaders in that area.
Mm-hmm.
But I love how, even though the purpose of 1 Corinthians is to kind of scold them, in a sense, he starts off so positively with, I give thanks to God for you. And he doesn't say, why can't you get this right? And he doesn't express frustration. It says, I appeal to you, brothers. That he's begging you, please don't do this. Because these are the facts. So he's stating, not don't you do this, but he's saying, please don't let there be this problem between you. And then he goes into the facts, not an opinion, but the facts. This has been reported to me. And he keeps any kind of judgment out of it. And boy, I wish I would be better at doing that, because I want to jump into conflict with my opinions and say this is how it should be and I know best and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I suffer from the same.
I also think it's funny that this is how we're taught to do parent conferences. Start off with the positive, hit them with the negative, and then wrap back around again to the positive. And support your negatives with data, keep your emotions out of it. I didn't realize that our parent conference format was based in the Bible, but it makes sense because Jesus was the best teacher. So, going to be a lot of good stuff in here, I think.
So that's 1 Corinthians. Read through it today and share your thoughts. Thanks.